So the name of this song is In Our Hearts. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kathy.
Beautiful song. Our first speaker will be Rob Jordan. If he could come up and say a few words, it'd be great. Everybody, Rob Jordan.
Thank you, everyone. Stand right here. I'm Rob Jordan, and I'm president of the Log Cabin Republicans of the Philadelphia area. Actually, I'm the president of the whole Pennsylvania chapter. We're thrilled to be here today to support Kathy Barnette in her historic run here in Montgomery County for several reasons. I've grown to know and admire Kathy. She admires a lot of things that make our group, our LGBT group, special. One of them is just to recognize the merits of any one person and to know that we're all made up, the whole country's made up of minorities. We have all sorts of special people in the world. We all bring our own special talents and attributes to the organization, to the local region. We just want to be recognized for our merit and what we can bring to the table. And that's one of the tenets that Kathy puts out. I don't know if you follow, but recently President Trump last year appointed Rick Grinnell as the ambassador to Germany, one of our members. And Rick made it not just because he's a man or he's LGBT or he can speak German. Rick made that post because he was the best person for that position. And it was a very difficult position. Very difficult position. Germany's one of our biggest allies in the world, but they also consume a lot of our resources. We support a lot of operations, a lot of military bases in Germany, and we need to. But we need to mind the shop, and that's one of the tenets of the Log Cabin Republicans. One of the tenets of President Trump is that America should be first. If we're putting out millions of dollars in resources in these countries, we should, get our own back. We should make sure that our interests are noticed and our interests are followed up on, and that's something that Rick did. So if you ever meet Rick Grinnell, he has a lot of funny stories about Angela Merkel and the German people. We still have very close ties with Germany, but as Kathy knows, we need to put America first. We need to put this region first, and we're not to be taken advantage of. The other thing I like about Kathy is that she is very transparent and open. And that's something we need in the congressperson for this district. That's something you don't have right now. We need dialogue. LGBT folks want to communicate, and we want to know what's best for our programs and our people in the area. We want constant communication. You're not getting that with your current congressperson. So with Kathy, you'll have someone who is an outstanding communicator. She's great with dialogue. She listens to people, and she communicates well. So that's another big tenet that we have with the Log Cabin Republican Club. And the other thing we're also big on is the economic vitality of the region. Kathy knows that small businesses make up 90% of the local economy here in the region. And you're not being taken care of right now with the current congressperson in charge. You're not being taken care of with some of the current political leadership involved. It's been a very difficult year with COVID. 2021 will be extremely difficult, 2022 as well. But with someone like Kathy on the federal side, you'll have someone who will look out for the resources of Montgomery County and do whatever she can to keep the businesses open, to expand our businesses, to get our hours back open, to get our facilities open again. We can't continue to be closed down the way we have been for the past 6 months. If that continues, we're looking at a depression or a 10, 20-year recovery period. So we need to turn this around quickly. And we have a great candidate here, Kathy Barnette, who can help us do that. So again, we're proud to endorse Kathy as a Log Cabin. We hope you'll, again, talk about her to your family, your neighbors, your friends, and continue to support her. Very, very proud to be here today to support Kathy Barnette for Congress. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rob Jordan. Our next speaker is running for state representative. Dan Wissert, could you please come up? Thank you for coming today.
Thank you. First, I want to say, yes, I'm Dan Wissert, running for 70th District State Representative. I need a lot of votes this year. November will determine the outcome. And this is the last straw, this November. I wanted to say thank you, Kathy, for serving in the Army Reserves. My dad also was an Army Special Forces unit in Vietnam. So I salute you and thank you for doing such that. So anyway, this coming November, like I said, this is Dan Wissert, first time running. And I don't want to take up too much time what I got to say. So the writing's already on the wall. We need lots of support and votes to make a difference. Let's pull everybody together this November and get as much support as possible. We need it now. Like I said, the outcome this coming November, we don't want Biden in that seat. We want Trump. We want Kathy, myself. I know a lot of you want to make this happen. God bless you, and let's make it happen.
Thank you, Dan. Good luck in November. I'd like to invite up the man who actually put all this together. and here he comes now. Alan App has done so much for the Republican Party, and really give him a big round of applause for getting this venue. It's so beautiful. They might not be here very much longer, so Alan, come on up and say some words to everybody.
Welcome everyone to East Norriton Township. I want to tell you that we, East Norriton Republican Committee, had a hand in sponsoring this event. And we're glad to see that everybody's come out. We also have another candidate running for the state senate. I'll try to get the feedback a little less. Ellen Fisher's here. I would like Ellen to come up and say hi.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for having me. And the 17th district is an open seat this time. There's a great opportunity to flip it back red. There's a lot of division in Lower Merion Township amongst the Democrats. So please tell all of your friends to come out and vote. Voting's already happening, so we want to make sure that you get out, share the news that this is really open. We need somebody that's pro-business. My opponent is in fact, I've been on a call with her 3 times with different interviews. She's never mentioned the word business. So it's just the litany of the same stuff. We need to do better, and we deserve better. Thanks so much. Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah, Ellen's district runs all the way from Havertown in the south, all the way to Bluebell. So it's Delaware County and Montgomery County. Of course, Kathy's district is just about the whole Montgomery County area, with the exception of Lansdale, Hatfield, and Solderton. So it goes from literally Jenkintown all the way out to Pottstown, and a little bit past that into Douglasville, into Berks County. So we're pleased to be able to have the candidates for East Norriton, including Dan Wissert, Ellen Fisher, and Kathy here. Kathy's been doing an amazing job. She's got some great polling numbers that are coming in. It's a lot closer than you would normally think for this district in the last 10 years. And I really appreciate everybody that's come out to see her. Thank you.
Okay, next I'd like to introduce you to Ivan, and he puts on a show and has a lot to say. Here he is.
Some of y'all might not know me. My name is Ivy Bandana. I've been a part of the campaign for a few weeks now, and when I met Kathy, we had a long conversation, and she just took time out of her day to focus on a person like me, people like you. She takes time out. I asked her to do something for my community. Our basketball courts was closed in my community, and I asked her, could she get the courts open, for the kids, because COVID-19, they're not going back to school. The next 2 days, the courts was back open. And that's what we want for this community. Not just for this community, for this county. We need change. We need people like Kathy Barnette in Congress. So when it comes that day to vote, please go out and vote.
All right, next up we have Chris Krill.
Kathy Barnette is amazing. Can I second the motion? A couple days ago, I had a chance to speak with Kathy at an event in North Wales for a meet and greet with the Ukrainian Americans and Kathy Barnette. And before the event, we had a chance to discuss some things, and Kathy asked me, what are the issues that my community is concerned about? And I went through the issues, and I don't want to tell you those issues right now. And I want to tell you what you have to lose and what you have to gain with Kathy Barnette. So in the Soviet Union, in Ukraine, that was a communistic government. Madeline Dean supports socialistic policies. Those socialistic policies can lead to communism. So let me tell you what communism did in Ukraine. No religion. Bye-bye. If you have religion, you have to hide it. You have to pray in your closet. No food. People would wait in lines for food forever, for a day. And what would they get? They would get some milk, a piece of bread, a piece of meat, and go home. Education. Right now, everyone wants public education. Maybe we do need some help for the lower class to get education, but education for everybody is going to punish the taxpayer. Not everyone's meant for education. And Kathy Barnette understands that, and that's why she supports the trades. She supports people doing what they want to do. So along through the event that we had, Kathy Barnette spoke to our community. And I just want to say the way she spoke wasn't like any politician. She spoke from the heart. You could tell she actually cared. She wanted us to unify. And that's why we're here today. We're at a unity rally to unify. So no matter what your religion is, what your race, what your belief is, we have one common goal. And that common goal is equality. And that equality does not come from the government, it comes from we the people. So I know, and I know Kathy knows, that she will do everything in her power to fight for us to have the freedom to control our own lives and not for the government to tell us how to control our lives. So I'm going to wind it down now, and I just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, from my community, from all of our communities, Kathy, we're with you, we support you, we love you, and we wish you best of luck on November 3rd. God bless. Thank you very much, everybody. And Diane, can you please come up to sing again? Thank you very much, and what a wonderful turnout and great people here. Thank you.
зелених, по чорнотих стежках. Ти приходиш до мене, і не треба нести мені квітку надії, бо давно уже ти увійшла в мої мрії. Червону розу не шукай вечорами, ти у мене єдина, тільки ти, повір. О, твоя врода, то є чистая вода, то є бистрая вода синіх гір, то є чистая вода синіх гір, то є бистрая вода синіх гір.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have a contestant for the voice right here. How about that? All right, our next speaker is Bill Mahoney. Would both come up? Keep America great.
Hi, my name is Bill Mahoney, and reason I got involved with helping out Kathy to try to get into our representatives in the congressional district is that up into the shutdown, I had several conversations with Madeline Dean over different issues that I had a problem with, and her answers were always the textbook answers, and she was basically seemed like she was following the agenda of the radical left wing and really didn't care about our district. And then in March, when the shutdown occurred, I have a 22-year-old son who had cancer at age 2, again at age 5, and is now battling stage 4 colon cancer. In March, he was scheduled for a liver surgery, remove a cancerous tumor. And when the shutdown occurred, it was determined that cancer surgery was elective surgery. And also during that time period, the Democratic Party pushed through to have abortions were deemed necessary. I met with Madeline Dean on that and expressed the problem. And the answer I got was more, well, it's a shame, but she really didn't address it at all. And I can't believe somebody could be that cold-hearted to believe that allowing abortions but not allowing a 22-year-old to have a cancerous tumor removed. And as anybody knows, when you delay cancer treatment, it gets worse. It doesn't get better. So now we're dealing with more complex problem because of the policies that the Democratic Party has done. When I told Kathy my story, you could tell that she knew what I felt like, and she really cared about it, and has constantly checked in to see how things were going. And the more I listened to her, the more I found out how much she really wants to represent our district and what's important to us, and not worry about what the Democratic Party should be and which bills she's doing the right thing. Madeline Dean is given stuff because it was assumed that our district was a guaranteed Democratic win, so she could put through the radical left ideas. But Kathy really understands what's going on. She understands the small businesses, and she really is a caring person, is the type of person that we want in Congress. She's not a politician, she's a person who cares, and that's why we need to get people like Kathy elected. Thank you.
Thank you for that moving speech. Ed Moo is our next speaker. Come on up, Ed.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Ed Moy, for the record, Ed Moy. I'm sure this is kind of hard to pronounce. If you were to see someone named Moyer, just drop the R. That's me, Ed Moy. Okay. I want to start. I wrote a couple of notes down. I want to let you guys know how I met Kathy. I was working for a company, and I still am work part-time for a company called U.S. Law Shield. And what they do is they give seminars on what the gun rights are for the residents of a particular state, which is, of course, we're here in Pennsylvania. So I was given a seminar, and Kathy sat in the front row and pretty much heckled me for 45 minutes. Where's Kathy? So at that time, she had a radio show, and I was working with an attorney who also worked for the company. She asked the attorney to come on her radio show the next day, and he called in and I called in, and we both had a conversation about what our gun rights were in the state of Pennsylvania. First and foremost, I'd like to say I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian conservative. That tops all. That's top of my list. I'm before anything else. I love Jesus, and there's no second. Of course, my wife and kids are second. Speaking of which, I'm from Philadelphia, and when I heard Kathy's story, I can kind of relate to it. I grew up in Philadelphia. I had 7 brothers and sisters, and my mother raised us alone. My father got killed when I was 4 years old. It was really tragic, and I kind of remember some of it. But anyway, she really struggled to try and help us just maintain a normal family life. She was from the South. My grandparents were sharecroppers. She was the oldest of 12, so she had to leave elementary school early to go out in the fields and work. She had no education whatsoever. Well, very little. So anyway, she did the best she could as far as raising us. When I graduated high school, I eventually worked my way into the military. I'd always wanted to go. I worked after high school for a while. I went to school, but I always wanted to go into the Air Force. So about a year or so later, I joined the Air Force. I go in the Air Force. I find myself at Hill Air Force Base, Utah. After the Air Force, I came home, and I went back to school. I went to Westchester, was in Westchester State College, now Westchester University. The summer came around, and I was looking for a summer job. At my mother's instruction, she told me to go to the Veterans Administration because that's what they're supposed to help us, these kinds of things that they're supposed to help us with. So I go to the VA, I'm talking to the counselor, and I told him that I was looking for a summer job. I was going to Westchester to be a teacher. And he tells me that the Pennsylvania State Police were hiring. And I looked behind me as though someone else had walked into the room. Because growing up in Philadelphia and being black and male, the last thing that you ever want to do is be a cop. So he insisted that I at least look into it. I told him, I said, listen, I'm just looking for a job. He says, I've got a summer job for you, but I'd like to set you up with an interview for the state police. And I said, sure, okay, I'll do it. And he says, are you sure? I said, listen, I'm a man of my word. If you set me up with it, I'll do it. And so he set me up with it. And before I walked out of his office, he said, well, one more question. He actually said, have you ever thought about being a policeman? I said, no. He said, okay, well, at least you're honest. I go down to the state police station in Philadelphia, Belmont Avenue. I'm talking to the recruiter. He asks me a bunch of questions. And then that question comes up again. He asks me, he says, have you ever thought about being a policeman? Again, I said, no. He said, well, at least you're honest. We are looking for honest people. If I give you this packet, will you complete it? And I said, sure, I'll complete it because I'm thinking I'm going back to school in September. I don't care. So I completed the packet, jumped through numerous hoops, background investigation, the whole 9 yards. And about 6-8 months later, I was in the State Police Academy. So I retired as a state trooper, 20 plus years. And that's how I got the job with the U.S. Law Shield and speaking on the Second Amendment. And that's how I met Kathy. Now, I'd just like to say, like the last gentleman spoke about his son and what Madeline Dean pretty much did to him. the Democrats. I believe, and I don't know if you can hear it here for the first time. I was telling my wife this 6, 8, 9 months ago, and a couple of friends, but I've since heard a couple of people say it. I watch YouTube videos and Larry Elder and people of that nature, Jason Whitlock, he's a sports writer, but I heard him say this, and I said to myself, I better start telling more people, because I think I coined the phrase. I believe that what they did to Donald Trump is demonic. How do you get up every day, 365 days for 3 or 4 years, and just do what you do to someone like that? I hate this person, and I got to get him out of office. That has to be demonic in my opinion. It has to be. And for the rest of anyone in the Democratic Party to back that or to vote for that is beyond me. How can you say you're a Christian and you're a Democrat, but you vote or you're with a party that condones and proliferates abortion? I don't understand that for the life of me. Next, I'd like to say the things that are happening to our police officers in this country is insane. It hurts me to my core. Every time I see one of those videos, those riots, they're trying to blind policemen. They're stabbing them. A couple of them have been killed in these so-called peaceful protests. Yes, it really hurts me to my core. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. I'm kind of happy that I'm not in policing at this point in time, but then again, I wish I was out there fighting with them. It's crazy. We have to take our country back from the demonic left. That's crazy. As far as BLM, when this whole thing started with the protest and BLM and everyone's going nuts about that, my thoughts on that are that, and if you haven't heard it before, you're going to hear it here for the first time. They are a Marxist organization, which means they're atheists. They are against the nuclear family. They're against my family. I've got 2 kids. I'm married 35 years. I've got 2 kids. They're against us. They're against me, my wife, and my kids. I have no time for them. I have nothing to do with them. My wife and I have friends, a couple of white friends that approached us after it started happening, and they wanted to know. They're also Christians. They want to know what could they do to help the cause, and this is what we told them. The fact that you're concerned and that you want to talk about it, have a conversation about it, is enough. It's pretty much enough right now. What has to happen is black people like me and Kathy Barnette have to stand up and try and put an end to this. We have to address that issue. We have to address this issue. This whole issue of nonsensical white supremacy. Yeah, there are what 2 or 3 dozen, maybe white supremacists. Okay, maybe a couple of hundred in the whole country that call themselves white supremacists. That whole thing is a misnomer, non-starter as far as I'm concerned. Okay. Before I go, I'd like to say this. Part of the reason that I'm here is because I decided that I was going to step up and be bold. We just can't be quiet anymore. We have to get this country back on track where it was. Our Constitution was forged in a Judeo-Christian manner, and it says how all men are created equal. We are all men. We're all created equal. I believe that if we come out and vote, I say straight party, conservative Republican, come November 3rd, we are going to get our country back. Okay? Now, lastly, I'm going to do something I've never done this before. Kathy has no idea I'm going to do this. If you have not contributed, I've got a check in my wallet for someone in your campaign. Come and find me. I'm going to write the check out right now. And if you have not done so, please come and contribute to the campaign today. Thank you.
What another amazing story. Everybody needs to hear this man's story. And people do need to step up. Thank you so much for having the courage to do so. Okay, our next speaker is Yagnesh. Yagnesh in the house. Let's have a hand for Agnes.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I'm Yagnes. I represent the South Asian Republican Coalition for Pennsylvania chapter. I'm the president on it. I'm also representing the American Foundation of Hindu organizations. So along with the Christians, not only the Christians, Hindu community and Hindu foundations and all organizations are supporting Republican this year. And I'm really thankful to Kathy Barnette because she has a real courage to stand against the current sitting Congresswoman, because after getting elected, she was ignorant about the issues of the Montgomery County. That is no good. Any representative, if they are not attentive to the community issues, no good. So in that manner, I respect Kathy and I appreciate everybody's presence here to support her. Thank you on behalf of all organizations.
Thank you. Thank you for coming today. Okay, next up is Maddie, Matthew, and Sophia. Thank you so much for coming. You both look beautiful today.
Hey, how is everyone today? Okay, so my name is Maddie Matthew.
And I'm Sophia Behay.
And we both we're seniors at Upper Dublin High School.
So on Thursday night, we had the pleasure to attend Kathy's meet and greet in Upper Dublin. We got to meet with her privately and discuss a lot of real issues that we face.
And one of the big pointers that she brought up was education. And I think education is so important for especially young adults to learn. So after COVID, a lot of schools were forced to shut down and become online. And in the springtime, we were fortunate enough our school to already have Chromebooks, but the transition still was not that great. But as we've still been online, it's been progressing and getting better and better each day. But I feel as if there's still a lot that we can do with our education.
Though our system of education has changed a lot since the spring, it's still not the same of being back at school. Even when we were in school, there was a lot of issues with the curriculum and different teachers. I had a personal experience with one of my English teachers. All right, and I'm also part of the Ukrainian community. Добрий день. Приємно вас бачити. Слава Україні. Героям слава. And I'm a first-generation American. Both my parents came from communistic country. Well, my mother's from Canada. My father lived in Poland. And in school, we were talking about the Odyssey. Then we started talking about Marxism. And the teacher started explaining that it was the best system for America to have today. A few students raised, boo! A few students raised their hands and expressed their own opinions and agreed with the teacher. If they can raise their hands and say they agree, I should also be able to express my own opinion. I politely raised my hand and explained my personal story of my parents and my grandparents. Since that day, the entire class hasn't looked at me the same way. I was against Marxism, as I think everyone should be. And ever since then, it's just, it pains me to have teachers telling me what I should think and that we should be pro-Marxism in this country.
And so this year I am taking AP Government and Politics at my school. And I feel as if my school should be giving a nonpartisan view so that we as young adults can decide what party, which concepts, which policies we want to really pick up on and support. Recently, I can tell which side he leans. And he's only been showing articles, research, and policies from one side. And when someone from the other side tries to bring up arguments or like different policies that they support, he kind of is in denial and basically says that they don't exist. So I feel as if our education and our curriculum really needs to take a shift, and I feel as if Kathy Barnette can do that successfully. So one of the sayings that I heard growing up was, truth is treason to those who live in an empire of lies. And it's really hard to get the courage to speak up, especially come up here, because I'm nervous, of course. And it's very important that you have the courage to form your own pathway and really persuade that onto other people, because no one's ever going to agree on everything, but I feel as if you should really focus on what you believe and then stick to that. Another thing is, at my school right now, we still have sports, but we're not in person for school. And these sports, you're not required to wear a mask. They just go onto the field and play. They're not getting tested. They're not even being randomly tested. The spectators do have to wear masks, but that isn't always the case from what I've seen. And so how can I, as a senior in high school, not be able to return to class and sit 6 feet apart from my peers while wearing a mask 8 hours a day, but my friends can still play in sports? I feel as if you have more contact in sports than you do in school, which is kind of crazy. And then,
One more thing. Me and Maddie are both 17, so we cannot vote on November 3rd. If we could, you would have had our vote, Kathy. I just wanted to say, we ask all of you to vote for Kathy Barnette come election day, because me and Maddie, we can't vote, we don't have a voice. And you're not only going to be voting for yourselves and your communities, but also for the next generation.
Yeah, so you really need to focus on your posterity when you make this choice, and a vote for Kathy is a vote for everyone, so. And I also want to express with this upcoming election that the presidential election is very important. What happens in your federal government does impact you, but I feel as if your local government has more of a say in what happens in your community, and you have more of a voice in your local government. So I just wanted you to keep that all in mind, and people should be voting for both local and federal candidates.
Kathy Barnette.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very insightful to what's going on in the high schools. Well, I think we can all say that we're here to save our country, because what's going on now is like no other time in history. We want to make a future for our children and our grandchildren. These next two speakers, I think, are the reason Kathy is here, and that's their children. Carl Jr. and Kayla, please come up.
Hi everyone, I'm Carl and
I'm Kayla, and I just wanted to say that you guys deemed my mom, and because if Madeline Dean came in and she won, I don't know what would happen. Nothing good would happen or come out with that. And my mom has done everything she could, everything she can. So now it's your guys' turn to do what you can. It's your guys' turn to share and to put signs out and to vote. It's your guys' turn.
so we just want to say thank you, number one, for coming out here, because every person helps us and helps my mom get closer to making it into Congress. We can't do it without you guys, like my sister said. So I'd like to give you guys a round of applause for your guys' support. Hey, and so now I'd like to introduce my mom, future Congresswoman, Kathy Barnette.
Excited and exhausted at the exact same time. I can literally take a nap or run a mile. It just doesn't matter at this point. 24 more days, guys. 24 more days. You know, we always say, there's an echo. No, it's good. Y'all hear me okay? You know, we always say about, this election is so consequential, but guys, really, this election is so consequential. So much is at stake. I often say to people that Democrats, specifically the progressive liberal Democrats, are doing half of my job for me. If my job is to tell people and convince people of the differences between my opponent and myself, well, they've been doing an excellent job, specifically since March. I mean, they want to federalize local zoning. They want to federalize education. They want to federalize health care. They want to federalize policing. They essentially want to federalize our lives. That is their goal. Chris Krill just came up and he was talking about, and I love having people like Chris, and we have our Indian friends who are here, our Chinese friends, and they make such a poignant point in helping Americans to realize what is at stake. Because you know what socialism looks. It was Lenin who said the goal of socialism is communism. Once I get a little bit of power, guess what I want? All the power, right? No one usually goes from a republic straight to communism. They do it. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. One bite at a time, inch by inch, right? So how do we take people from a republic straight to servitude? Well, you lie. And you tell them it's for their own good. You tell them, COVID will kill you, hide in your basement. And let me just go on the record as saying COVID is nothing to be played with, okay? Especially for those who find themselves with a compromised immune system, COVID is not to be played with. And you need to make those decisions for yourself and for your family. But for the overwhelming majority of us, we can move on, right? Maybe not go back to life as normal, but we should be able to move forward. You guys know about the president and contracting COVID. Today, if you turn on the news, they are still talking about last Friday he was on oxygen. That's what they're talking about. The news of the day should be a 74-year-old man with a compromised immune system because of age. The doctor said he's, got a little weight on him. But a 74-year-old man who eats hamburgers and ice cream daily, runs away from working out, contracted COVID. By Friday, things weren't looking so well for him, had to get on oxygen, and then 2 days later, he's walking out. That should be the story. That we can come out of our basements, that our children can get back to school, that Bill's son can now have the necessary cancer treatment. That's the story. But what are they talking about? Oh yeah, on Friday he had to take oxygen. Really? We're being lied to. We're being manipulated. And it is all for control. How many of you would benefit if the stimulus bill was passed and you were able to get that? How many businesses would be a little better off? I mean, I traveled this district and I'm talking to all kinds of people, and I have had grown men break down and cry. They built their companies with their hearts. No one gave it to them. But they're about to lose it all. And so they're crying. They don't know what to do. I mean, I have people whose lights are about to get turned off, who think they're going to be homeless soon. They're looking for that stimulus. And guess what my opponent did along with others? They put a poison pill inside of that HEROES Act. They reduced the overall bill by $1 trillion. Over $600 million of that reduction went to defund the police. That's a non-starter. You know the Republican Party is not going to pick the bill up. They're giving us the illusion that they're working for us, but they can care less. Their goal is simple, and that is to create as much chaos, to inflict as much harm as possible on the American people, in hopes that you're stupid enough to believe it's Donald Trump's fault. Listen, I did not vote for Jesus in office 4 years ago, nor did I vote for my priest. I voted for someone because, one, he wasn't a politician. I thought that was interesting. Two, I liked his policies. But y'all know I'm black, right? I know, literally, I had to go around and remind these white progressives, I'm black. I'm black. You don't get to tell me who I am, right? Like they're constantly trying to tell me I'm oppressed. I'm not oppressed. They're constantly trying to tell me I'm a victim. I'm not a victim, right? You should see them. They got their little talking points, ready to tell me who I am, ready to pull out their little measuring stick and measure my blackness. I'm like, you can get that and stuff it back in your pocket, right? But I don't care if you don't like this president. It means nothing to you. You don't like him? Okay, fine. I don't care. The only thing I've ever tried to convince people is to know when someone is working in your favor and then have the good sense to get out of the way. That's all I've ever tried to convince people. You don't like him? I don't care. I don't care. People are constantly asking me, do you like Donald Trump? You know what? That's a very privileged statement or a very privileged question. I come from underneath a rock. I always say I'm a little black girl who grew up on a pig farm in southern Alabama. I grew up below the bottom rung of the economic ladder. I grew up in a home with no insulation, no running water, an outhouse in the back and a well on the side. Google my life story and you will learn a little bit more. Almost every obstacle you can place in front of someone, somehow, it was in front of me. But because no one told me I was a victim, because no one told me all the odds are against you, Kathy, don't try, I became the first in my family to go and finish college. I spent 10 years in the U.S. Army Reserve where I was accepted into officer candidacy school. I spent time in the financial industry, corporate finance, adjunct professor of corporate finance. I speak to millions. I've authored my first book that went #1, by the way, just throwing that out there. And now I'm running for Congress. Only in America. From a pig farm to Congress. That happens here. Being in the military, you get to travel all over the world. And when you travel all over the world, you don't go to the touristy spots. You go to the real deal. You go behind the curtain and you look to see how people are really living. This is the greatest nation that has ever existed. And it is the greatest nation that has ever existed because it was founded upon the greatest political document ever written, the U.S. Constitution. And I am unapologetic. My young people, Maddie, Sophia, Chris, my children, watch them. These are kids. Well, Chris, I know you're not a kid, but you're so young, right? You're just young. I know, you're young. Enjoy it, youth. But, someone said to me, Kathy, you're so courageous. I want to applaud you for your courage. And I, as she was talking, I understand exactly what she means by that. And I said to her, I don't see it as courage. It is, I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. I was built for this moment. And all I'm doing is walking out my life, walking out my truth, right? Truth isn't relative like, the liberals would have us to believe. But you may not like my policies or how I think about things, but you can't argue my journey. I know exactly what I did to get to where I am today. And all I'm doing is nothing really courageous. I don't wake up thinking, ooh, courage today. I just wake up and I put one foot in front of the other. And I believe that this is the greatest nation. But I also believe that our country is in trouble. Our country is in trouble. Y'all saw Nancy Pelosi yesterday with the 25th Amendment? These people got plans. I've always said it. Didn't I always say it? These people got plans, y'all. They got big plans. If you think you can stick your head in the sand far enough and they will leave you alone, you got another thing coming to you. If you think you can be a part of this silent majority, whatever that means, you got these people screaming, cussing you out if you walk into a store without a mask on. And y'all talking about a silent majority? November 3rd, we may not even make it to November 3rd. You see how ridiculous they're behaving? Stop being silent. Stop being weak. Stop tolerating the most intolerable situations. Can't go to church. Can't sing when you do go to church. Can't go to work. Your children need medical services and you can't get it. But if you want to have an abortion, and you can have that, right? But you have bills. Every time I hear a story, I have babies of my own. God forbid. Why are we tolerating this foolishness? Why is there so much apathy? I cannot do this on my own. We have come a long way. We've come a long way. But we still got 24 more days. We ain't there yet. Right now, our polls are showing that Dean is at 50%, and I am at 49.93%. That was not supposed to happen. When we started, everyone was telling me about the blue wall. The blue wall is formidable. You can't win. Don't eat. Weren't they? I feel like I'm really whining when I'm doing that. I see why we lose everything in this county. We're going to have to teach our leaders on our side of the aisle what it means to have a backbone, what it means to not roll over. It starts with this seat, but you better believe I am not used to having my behind beat and handed to me. I am not rolling over. This is my country, and I am bent on taking it back. That is how you create a dead heat. Madeline Dean is now flying in Jill Biden. Did y'all see that 2 days ago? You don't fly in a heavyweight unless you two are looking at the same poll numbers. She's agreed to 3 debates with me. You don't agree, if you're the incumbent, you don't agree to debate someone like me if you don't have to, right? Unless your poll numbers are telling you the same thing my poll numbers are telling me. We are tracking at 60% with independents, and we needed 10% of Democrats. We're getting 14%. Our Democrats do lean a little socialist, but they're not Marxists. They're not trying to eat their own. This rioting and the looting, watching the mob come in front of your front door telling you, give me your house. You see the mob come and destroy your business, and then they go on national television and say, well, this is just reparations. And who says anything about it? Do you see anyone on our side of the aisle condemning it other than the president? We're being punked, y'all. It's foolishness. There is a legitimate conversation to be had about inequality. It's a legitimate conversation to talk about how we can make sure those who are marginalized, those who are underrepresented, those who find themselves under a rock like I was, that's a legitimate conversation to have about how we can make sure everyone gets to participate in the shared prosperity of this nation. But this looting, this rioting, this rage, go out on your Facebook page and try to say law and order and see what happens to you. Hell is going to descend upon you. And most of y'all, you say you're tolerant. I think you're scared. You say you just want to be kind. You don't want to. I think you're afraid. Well, let me tell you, if my opponent wins, God forbid, Biden wins, oh, you think you're afraid now. You think you can't say stuff now. You think people are getting canceled now. The young girls, Maddie and Sophia, was talking to them. They were telling me about that. There are trolls, their age, trolls, who surf all of their friends to make sure everyone is saying the politically correct thing. And if they don't, they out your children. They dox your children. They tell people who they are, and they encourage the mob to descend upon your children. Exactly, right? Listen, you're always going to have useful idiots in every culture. What is alarming is that you good people, y'all heard the Edmund Burke's quote, the only thing that is necessary for evil to prevail is for good people to do nothing. That's the alarming part to me. I'm seeing a whole lot of good people who don't want to do simple things like put my sign in their yard. Oh, my neighbor's gonna look at me cross-eyed. Oh, my neighbor's not gonna talk to me. Oh, somebody's gonna come and throw a rock through my window. Do you know what I'm sacrificing to be here? Do you know how I'm putting my family on the line? What have you surrendered? What have you sacrificed? You need to answer that question. Have you written out a check? Have you donated? Do y'all think this is free? I didn't make the rules. I come from a pig farm. This was not on my bucket list of things to do. I was not bred for this moment. These people are bred from little children. They know exactly who to talk to, who to go to. I didn't have that Rolodex. I have a pig farmer's Rolodex. There's no one I could have called to get, this ain't free. My opponent has received over $498,000 from 194 different PACs. We got $4,000 from 3 PACs. You don't want your people to be bought and paid for? Then open up your wallets and contribute. because airtime on television is not cheap. We have 24 more days. I need to make sure everyone is speaking my name. You see these yard signs? Most people make you pay for them. We're giving them for free. Do you think they were free to me? The literature, we got to pay for that. The truck, the gas going all over the place. So I am no longer ashamed of demanding that you people, good people, do what you need to do to make sure I get across the line. As well as the president, I felt so guilty when I caught myself saying, what is Trump going to do? Trump better do something quick. What's Trump going to do? Trump better say something. Trump better do something. And that's what we've been doing for the past 4 years, waiting for Trump to pull out the Trump card. And look where we are. This man fighting for his life and still working for us. I don't care if you hate him. But unless you are wicked, unredeemably wicked, you should be able to see that. Working for us. What are we doing to make sure we do our part? Are you sitting down waiting for us to do everything? How many of you have talked to your neighbors? I'm going to put you on blast. How many of you have talked to your neighbors? Okay, put your hand down. How many of you have talked to your neighbors who are Democrats? Okay, impressed. I see some hands that's not up. Now, don't talk to liberals. Don't even waste your time. It's just foolish. Don't talk to white progressive liberals. Black progressive liberals are just angry, so you could just walk away from them too. But most Democrats are not progressive liberals. It's a very nuanced conversation. If they say Black Lives Matter, don't follow it up with All Lives Matter. That's just red meat, and ain't nobody listening to anything at that point. But talk about me. Especially when you're talking to these woke social justice warriors. Talk about the fact that I'm the first Black person to ever run for Congress in Montgomery County. So if you want to make sure there is inclusion, start there. Right? I don't care as much about that as some of these people. When I walk into the room, most people see my color. And for some, that's all they see. Democrats especially, they see my color and they immediately start trying to figure out, I can see them coming. Their whole body shifts. Am I lying, Ed? Like their whole body shifts. They come in looking like a victim, don't they? They come in looking like, oh, I know you're oppressed and we got to do something about this systemic racism. I'm not oppressed. And when I say that, they don't know what to do with me. White liberals hate me. And they hate me because I don't need them. I don't need them to create a program. I don't need them to tell me my Black life matter. My Black life been mattering since 1971. I am a Black woman married to a Black man raising Black babies. Of course, Black lives matter to me. And Ed has already dropped the mic on the Black Lives Matter Global Network Incorporated. I do not support the organization because they are against my Black family. They are against my nation. On my team, I'm going to leave it with this. On my team, we have Democrats working on my team. We have what I call recovering Democrats, like they literally just changed their registration to Republicans. We have independents on my team. I even have 2 never-Trumpers on my team. Because the only thing that matters to me is that you love my country and you want to see everyone do well. I've been endorsed by 4 Hindu organizations. Thank you very much, sir, for introducing me to most of them. I appreciate you. I've been endorsed by Log Cabin Republicans, LGBTQ. I've been endorsed by Chinese Asian Americans. I've been endorsed by the police department, law enforcement, all of them. How do you get that? We need people who are ready to go to Congress and begin to work. I've been endorsed by the Ukrainians. I love them. Listen, I need you to go talk to your neighbors. I need you to feel a little bit uncomfortable. Get over it. Put on your big girl and big boy panties or drawers, whatever, and go have a cup of coffee. Go outside when your neighbor's getting the mail. Just watch out the window and then pounce on them with a smile and have a conversation. Don't just talk to people who think like us. We have a better option. We just need to go out there and tell people. Get my yard sign, get my palm card. If you're really hesitant about speaking, get the palm card, pounce on your neighbor, and just hand them the card. And if they say, no, I don't want it, shame them. Really? You don't want to support the first black person? Are you a racist? Say it to them. That's what they say to you. Why do you think I put my little black face on my yard signs? This is my face and my color. You have white progressive using my color to justify tearing down my country. There's a reason why we got my little brown face on everything. Shame them. They don't mind shaming you. They don't mind screaming at you and calling you a racist. Okay? So if you don't want to say the word, get the card, hand it to them, and when they say no, say, really? Are you a racist? You don't want to even look at her literature, the first black person? Do you know what, I mean, that's something, the first black in this community. 80% white. The second wealthiest county in the state of Pennsylvania. And I'm walking in. I didn't know any of you. I didn't know any of y'all. I didn't know any of y'all. I didn't know any of these people on my team when I started this. But you know what? They didn't see my color. They saw my message. They saw my heart, my love for my nation. And they're my brothers. And my sister, Joan, Jean, where's Jean? Yes, Natalie. I mean, Barbara. I'm going to get in trouble because y'all know I'm horrible with names. But all of y'all, you know who you are if you're on my team. Thank you so much for your support. We have 24 more days. I need y'all to be exhausted on November 3rd. So start off, yard signs, palm card, pounce on your neighbors, donate to me. I will walk slowly as I leave. You can stuff them in my pocket. But, and tell everyone about us, okay? Blessings. Thank you.